All right, everyone. Hello. So, the title, A plus and still anxious when achievement becomes a form of anxiety. So, you've got the degrees, the receipts, and the applause, and you're still anxious. Not because you're failing, but because your success became a survival mechanism. There's a particular kind of ache that only high achievers, high functioning people feel. It's the ache of knowing you won, but still wake up with a racing mind and a tight chest. And why does that happen? Because when achievement becomes your identity, your nervous system never gets to rest. And in today's episode, we unpack the silent cost of living for A plus results when all you really need is alignment. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Remarkable Shift Live series show where high achieving visionaries break free from recycled success models and finally step into their true alignment. This isn't just leadership talk or motivational fluff. This is where brilliance gets recalibrated, blind spots get dismantled, and bold authority gets activated. Here we don't chase trends. We build legacies with precision. We don't just talk mindset, we rewire identities. And we don't just develop leaders, we unlock generational change agents. I'm your host, Dr. V, the brilliant solutionist and master recalibration strategist for brilliance, authority, and precision. And if you're ready to stop second guessing and start executing and rise into the version of you that's always been hidden in plain sight, let's shift remarkably. Before we jump into this episode, at the time of this episode, there are a lot of things happening in Los Angeles, California. So my thought and prayers goes out to everyone that is out there, whether you're directly involved or indirectly. And if you are here, outside of California, but you still have family members who are there or loved ones or whatever the case may be, I'm praying for their safety and then a resolution. And I go deeper into that on my other podcast where I talk about leadership, and this is the time for you to stand up in your authority. But we can say a little bit about that here. It is time for you to stand up in your authority and get into alignment so that you can be a voice for change. All right, so we're going to talk about the anxiety of accomplishment, and let me know at any point if any of this is resonating with you. So let's name it. You don't fear failure. I know people say that. I have a fear of failure. No, you don't. You fear being irrelevant. So you push harder, you keep showing up, and you produce at levels that earn praise, but you're still feeling unfulfilled. Not because you're broken, but because you were conditioned to prove and not just be. I know I'm talking to a lot of people out there because I felt all of this, so I really can relate. You learned that validation came from gold stars. They did that when I was in private school, had a whole wall of stars. Honor rolls, you know about that too, and then high performance reviews when you start getting into your career, client wins when you start building your business, and launch numbers when you're really taking your business or your company to another level. So now when you are still, like being still, you feel lost. And when you're not producing, you actually feel guilty. And let me know if this is landing for you. And when you're quiet, you wonder who you are without the next goal. So I want you to understand this. You're not burned out from effort. You're burned out from earning your worth every day, like success has a shelf life. And I don't use that term burnout in the cliche way either. Like you literally just can't function. Like is that you don't have the mental capacity to move forward. Like you can function, but you know what I mean. So I'm not talking about, I'm just exhausted. No, I'm not talking about the keyword, the trending word burnout. Like, actual fatigue is really performance drift and capacity fatigue, but we'll get into that, later on. So when high standards become a form of hidden self-abuse. So we're really going to get a little deep here. And so I don't want to sugarcoat anything. Not all excellence is healthy. I wish somebody would have told me that, right? So sometimes when it's like I'm disciplining myself or I'm focused, things like that, that's really fear in disguise. And I'm not talking about the earlier fear, so stay with me. It's really fear in disguise. It is hypervigilance in heels. I used to wear a lot of heels back in the day, so I understand that one. And it's really a trauma loop with the calendar app. So let that sink in. High functioning anxiety looks a lot like ambition until it starts eating your joy. And I love ambition. I love ambitious people. I love when you have, goals and drive and motivation that's like, whoa, like out of this world. But then it becomes a problem when it starts taking your joy away. And I'm not talking about because you're tired in the moment. Like we all get tired and exhausted, but when we're doing things that we're aligned to, our joy doesn't escape us. We can just get some rest and keep it moving. We can take a break, and then get back right into it. But even when you take a break and you still think about that thing and it's like you feel that dread, that's when it starts looking more like anxiety instead of ambition. And you have to understand that the pace that you're going, and you're actually punishing yourself. And your peace is grasping for air. And it's like, please let me breathe, but you're still chasing the next strategy. Again, I know all about that, and I had to work through that myself, and then with several clients. So this is why scaling without recalibration is dangerous. And we're not talking about scaling just for your business. We're talking about scaling your life. Like you are allowed and you were created to live a full life. So that means a version of scaling, and expanding multiple areas of your life, but not without recalibrating and realigning, because that part is dangerous. And you're building faster than your spirit, your internal self can sustain, more than your capacity can hold. So let's talk about our Birkin reframe here and rewriting the performance code. So again, go back and listen to the previous episodes of why I chose to have a section called the Birkin reframe. And for this one, it looks like you're carrying your success like a luxury bag, right? So you may have this aversion to Birkin, but we all know what a piece of luxury can do to us. And it doesn't even have to be like the super, super high end. It's like your version of the next level for you. But when you get that particular luxury item, you wear it proudly and you wear it publicly, right? But deep down, and we're talking about the success that you carry like it's a luxury bag, but deep down, you know that you've convinced yourself that if you stop carrying it perfectly, someone will question your value. But here's the truth. I'm gonna take a minute because I want you to be present when I say this. Opulence without emotional congruence is just ornamental. Hope I said that right. Ornamental. Meaning that you're just carrying it around for a decoration piece. It doesn't mean anything. You don't have the same perspective about it. It's not really that valuable to you. You just want it just for a status, but it's still hollow inside, right? So it's just a decoration piece. But you have to understand that you weren't born to decorate success. You were born to define your success. So I love all things opulence, but your opulence may not look like my version of opulence. My version of opulence is not going to look like, homegirl or homeboys over there. So you have to define what opulence looks like for you. I believe that we can all operate in a form of opulence, but you have to have emotional congruence to it. That's why you see a lot of people who could be out on social media having the pictures and things like that. But if you ever went behind the scenes, then they talk about, the truth behind X, Y, and Z. You don't want to be that person. You want to be able to have your version of, an opulent life. And again, this is not about flat. It's not really even about material things. You can have some nice things in there. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, if all of that goes away, you still have your emotional congruence. And that's where all of this fits in. And that's where you have to start understanding that it's time to stop grading yourself on metrics that were designed for your 20-year-old self or beyond. Some of you, maybe your 30-year-old self, or even your 40-year-old self. Whatever was back there, you have to stop grading yourself on those metrics and start building from the version of you that knows peace is the new power. Now, I do want to put this caveat in there. We're not talking about just peace where you're avoiding to do things. We're not talking about peace because you're uncomfortable. That's not what I'm talking about. You are still able to strive and do the work that God created you to do, but from an internal place of peace and not just external metrics. Let me know if that's landing for you. And so that's why I've created the Authority Builder Snapshot. It is essential, especially right now, because the anxiety that you feel isn't irrational. It is instructional. Okay. It's not irrational. but it is instructional. And so when you take the snapshot, it reveals 5 areas, but here are the 3 things I'm going to talk to you about. It reveals where your identity is over leveraged on your output. You're so much focused on what can I crank out all the time, and that's what's geared towards identity. Or it can reveal where your authority is disconnected from your actual values. I am huge on that. Your values have to be your guiding post. And it reveals where your performance is costing you your peace. And again, this is not a cop out to say that you don't do what you need to do to get the job done. There are times where you do put in the work, but when you are constantly putting in the work and you can't find peace anywhere in your stillness, that's where you have to, take a check-in. And doing the Authority Builder Snapshot does help you do that. There are 10 questions over 5 different areas. It's not going to take you long. And it's not one of my detailed assessments. We do that if you decide to take an extra step with me, but I still want you to have a starting point so you can start having the right conversation with yourself, or if you decide to move on and get support elsewhere. You need to look at where you are. You diagnose yourself. That's what I did in my background as an educator and then working with other companies. You have to start with an assessment, a needs assessment, a diagnostic assessment to say, where am I? So you can stop grasping at all of these different strategies, and you have a strategy, but it's filtered through what you need right now, right now, or the right now. I forgot what I was trying to say, the next right now. So it's not just the next, but the right next now. That's what I want to say. And so when you take these as 10 questions, and then you get your results immediately in 4 different areas, it'll let you know what level you are, and not just give you a score, but also, again, some next steps on where you can take this and how to continue to move forward. So it's not just another assignment. Don't just say, oh, she just wants my email address. No, I actually want you to find some internal liberation of where you are so you can stop being in a state of overwhelm and confusion. You can start that. It's okay to be confused about something, and it's okay to have a moment of being stuck. But when you're presented with an opportunity to get unstuck and to get clear and you choose not to, that's where you fall into overwhelm, and overwhelm then becomes a strategy. And we all know that strategies, you can work through those and then overcome those things. All right. So the link for that is in the description bar below somewhere, underneath this video, or you can go to Dr. Vernita Glenn white.com/authority builder. So as you know, I do have a secret podcast. I'll start doing more of the episodes publicly, called Quietly Remarkable. And in that episode, I'm going to share the real story behind when I hit one of my highest career moments and felt completely numbed. I shared a little bit across my YouTube channels, across the videos on my YouTube channel, but we'll talk a little more intimately about that and what happens when your best isn't making you feel alive anymore. And that's why I also create the VIP Legacy Day or the Power Hour to help you understand how to build from peace and not just pressure. So a lot of you don't want a group program. You're like, I am over the courses. I'm over the programs. I don't even know if I want, have the capacity to do a year-long mastermind or even a 3-month, 6-month partnership or anything like that. So that's why I'm offering either the VIP Legacy Day or a Power Hour to get you started. We can have a conversation with those. But I do want you to start with the Authority Builder Snapshot so you can have a starting point. So our conversations are strategic, focused, and then we can get some results, whether we move forward or not. And then I'll let you know, or we can decide together if you need a full day or if you just need that jump start in a Power Hour. And then as we're wrapping up this year, we're at the halfway mark. You don't have to just throw those goals and those ideas in the trash. You can just get a section where you can recalibrate yourself, get focused, get back centered, and then have a plan in place and strategies in place from the vision, from the version of yourself right now moving forward, instead of the version and those vanity metrics that we talked to from the past where you used to measure yourself. Okay, so if this is what your soul has been craving, and if this is something that is you're resonating with and I'm hitting some points, then let me know. Go ahead and take the Authority Builder Snapshot, and then we can have a conversation about what your next steps will be, or if you just want some clarity on, have a consult on where you stand, or, can I walk you through that? I'll be happy to do that as long as I have space in my calendar. So be sure to comment down below or you can message me on socials. I do read them and I will get back to you. Okay. And, or you can just comment, authority down below and I'll reach out to you, or someone from my team will reach out to you. So as we wrap up this episode, I just want you, I understand that you've earned everything and you've worked hard to get where you are, and you did everything right and you did everything they said you need to have. But now I know that you are exhausted by the script. Whatever that play script they laid out for you when you were younger, or you probably came to it to yourself, even in your 20s, you're like, you know what, this is what I want to do. It was still a script, and now you find yourself exhausted by that. And I just want you to know that you don't need any more wins at this point, but you do need restored self-trust, right? Now, if you're a believer, we know that our trust and we rely on God, but then he also gives us the ability to make sure that we can perform those things. So you can't just stay too, abstract and say, well, I'm only going to just trust in God, but then you don't take any action. You don't do things yourself, because he gives us people, tools, equipment, and things like that for us to do the work. So we need both. You can't be so self-reliant and not do anything. You stay up in the clouds, and then you can't just be totally self-reliant on yourself, thinking that you're going to get yourself moving forward. That's why you do have to have both, I believe. So when I say restore self-trust, this is not from a place of, oh, I can just do all the things myself. That's not what I'm talking about, right? So just take the snapshot, let me know your thoughts, and then this is time for you to get back and take control of your life quietly, powerfully, and remarkably. And I will see you in the next episode. Until then, let's shift remarkably. Bye for now.